the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. It is crazy in the marketplace right now. We just had the biggest 7-day period for properties going under contract since August 23rd, 2024. Now, obviously, that comes in the back of huge news in interest rates, down 47 basis points from the peak in January just this last week. So lots of stuff going on, crazy things going on the show. We'll talk about kind of what's happening with that. We're definitely seeing that spring market earlier. We're seeing numbers going to contract that we saw last summer. Well over $200 million in contract the last 7 days in our MLS. So lots of great stuff we'll talk about today. Also, a big, amazing award I got last night at CCU at Brooks Stadium for a super cool thing with Charleston Business Magazine and Grand Strand Business Magazine about the most influential people in Myrtle Beach. And a lot of people there actually talked about this radio show. So super cool. I'm very appreciative of all the listeners out there, people that send us business and have done business with us as well. We'll talk about that. Super cool. Brand new market numbers in from last month. We'll kind of go over that, recap the final numbers in from last month for anyone that missed last week's show. The brand new numbers for February will be out in next week's show. They'll be out next week about midweek, which would be great. I also have a horror story where a friend of mine was the agent, met with the guy ended up going for sub owner, and the seller cost himself $60,000 in actual what the property was sold for by just trying to sell on his own to try to save $10,000 in commission. And so it's just examples that we see all the time. This is example not in our marketplace, a friend of mine that's in a closed marketplace, but we see this literally every single week. And I'll just kind of give that example as well. Also, our team is ramping up for 2025 spring market. If we're looking to bring on people on our team, on our sales team, we have the #1 real estate team in Myrtle Beach. We have amazing training, amazing culture. I have a real estate school that we can help you get licensed. We also have a scholarship for that. If you're another agent out there and you're just not getting the business that you want, or the training and the guidance that you want, reach out to me, right? We also have sloanscholarship.com. You can check that out. Lots of great stuff. And then also some amazing success stories. Our team's been ramping it up and helping out lots of sellers already. And we'll talk about that on today's show.
For any new listeners, Jesse, give me an update on just who Blake is. It's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment. All of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly. A quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Yes, Rick, and that's just the whole why I do this show. I mention this every week, but I've been doing this, I think, 15 years this week or this year, and actually January. So lots of shows, lots of doing this. And it's the same problems over and over and over. So we have one goal on this show, and that's just to provide value for everyone to help them make better decisions with, for most people, their largest asset, which is real estate, right? And one thing I forgot to mention earlier in the intro that we have on today's agenda is what home updates will bring the highest ROI for 2025. Lots of great stuff there. Most of them don't bring a dollar for dollar return. And so we'll talk about that, kind of what to watch out for. It's always good to reach out to someone so that if you're doing an improvement to try to get a return on it, like when you sell to bring value, it's important to make sure you have someone who can advise you on that, because most of them do not bring a 1-to-1 ratio. Meaning if I spend $10,000, you don't usually get $10,000 in increased equity. Some of them do. We'll go over one that's a 200% increase, which is very interesting. Most people don't think about to do, but lots of great stuff we'll talk about with that. But the main reason I wanted to share this part on the show is just I see horror story after horror story after horror story over and over and over. And it goes down to the biggest mistake that consumers make. And it doesn't matter how affluent they are. I find that the more affluent they are, the more they make this mistake. I don't know why it is, but they make the mistake of thinking that all agents are the same. And it could not be any further than the truth, right? Just any doctor, any lawyer, I see this all the time. But if I get sued for somebody trying to take all my assets, or somebody trying to, if I'm charged with a crime I did not commit, the last thing I want is some part-time attorney who's tried a few cases, right? I want the absolute best attorney who specializes in that type of law, who's aggressive, who understands details, who has the experience in the courtroom to help get me the result I want on the back end, which is obviously to win, right? But for some reason, people don't think the same way they're talking about real estate. And same thing with my doctor. If I have an illness, I don't want to just go to the doc in the box on the street or do a virtual online for $35, right? I want the absolute best doctor who specialize in that type of medicine, who can get me safely healed as fast as possible. But for some reason in real estate, people just pick the cheapest agent, their friend of a friend. They don't really ever know what questions to ask. I mean, still to this day, I've never had anybody ask me any good questions about like how to pick an agent. And so I want to share those things on this show so people can make better decisions, right? The only question I ever get is like, how much do you charge? Which is the wrong question to ask. It needs to be one of the questions, but not the leading question. Because if I pick anything based on the cheapest, guess what I get? The worst really result in anything. If I want to buy the cheapest BMW in Myrtle Beach, what do you think I'm going to get? A terrible car that's a lemon that's obviously got problems. I want the cheapest anything meal. It's not going to be very good. Cheapest quality food, not going to be any of that. So you want to get something that's the best value, who can help get you the most money net in your pocket when you're selling or buying. And so what most people don't realize, when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z, a lot of things that have to be done correctly to put money in your pocket, get the property sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, and that could be anything from the price strategy, the price too high, price too low. What's the quality of photos? What's the order of the photos? Does the agent answer the telephone when somebody calls a for sale sign? Do they even have a for sale sign? What's their marketing budget? All these things make or break a difference on the back end. And so what you have to do is really stack those dominoes, give that client a competitive advantage. And so what most people don't realize, the average agent in our marketplace sells less than 4 homes per year. That's 1 home per quarter. There's not any money to eat with, much less spend in marketing. So there's no way they can really get you true differentiation or invest a whole lot of money in marketing on your behalf. In addition to that, there's not a whole lot of experience. If I'm getting 1 home per quarter, what we find is those agents throw their client under the bus in 2 seconds because they're trying to put food on the table for their children. And so that's where it comes to a major challenge when you're dealing with your largest asset. And so many people just leave equity on the table by not choosing the right agent and not having a process to actually identify and choose the best agent for them. And we see this happen all the time. And the main problem with that is, if I have one single agent who's trying to juggle all the balls and 118 different variables from one single listing, it's simply impossible for them to do so and execute at a high level. And not to mention, most agents like that will have 5 or 10 listings. And so now you're talking about literally 1,000 things that have to be done that one single agent is doing. And so that's like having the same person at McDonald's to the front register, the drive-thru, and French fries at the same time. Very, very inefficient, which is why in our marketplace right now, right at almost 50% of properties that get listed do not sell the first time on the market. And so many of those that do sell, if they have one of the 50%, sell for less money they could sell for. And so you want to make sure you understand how to ask the right questions, how to understand, hey, what's different? So what I did when I got in the business, I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I looked at what people did outside of real estate, how they operated in a true real business, like a brick and mortar business, and brought those same things into real estate. Specifically, we want to have a team of specialists where each person specializes in what they do so they can be really, really good at it, versus having a generalist try to juggle all the balls. And so I created this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. We back it up with 2 main things. One's a large team of people, about 30 plus people, that a team of buyer specialists. They make phone calls all day, every day, about 16,000 phone calls a week that we make to our leads that we get from all across the world. And then also we have a listing side specialist. We have inside sales, outside sales, closing coordinator, in-house photographer, graphic design, closing coordinators, all these things to make sure that everyone can execute at the highest level to get better service. And really what I want to do there is stack the dominoes in my client's favor. And so if I create a small gap in terms of execution at point 1, a small gap point 2, small gap point 3, you stack all that up with 118 different variables in a long sales cycle like real estate, it gives the client a competitive advantage. And so that's what it's designed to do. It works very, very, very well. It's obviously what got us featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, all those things. We also have one for buyers out there. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you party access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as a home inspection to make sure you have a competitive advantage when you're purchasing. So if you want to know more how it works, reach out to me. Take anything from today's show. The agents out there are not the same. It's just like anything that is a service-based business. Humans that execute always execute at different levels. If you talk about today's time, most people don't really want to work really hard. And so you want to make sure you find somebody who can hustle, who's aggressive, who's hungry, who wants to make sure they can get you the result that you want on the back end. If you want to know more how ours works, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break, right back in a second.
that directly impact your family's future. Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here, and the same is true for your real estate transactions. And when you sell your home, you need to speak to one of the agents right here in town that will get you the most money with the least hassle. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, knowing the facts when you vote and when you sell your home is always important. That's why you should check out the value of your home in today's market. When you know the accurate value, you are better equipped to make an informed decision with all the options laid out for you. Options like an instant offer, or lay out your timeline and take advantage of their guaranteed sale program, or just put it on the market and get more money than you expected. Just go to the website, find out your home's value in seconds. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And get your home's real value in today's
I'm
market
excited to
in just
connect with
seconds.
Blake
And then
Sloan.
I'll fix that.
Only real estate
Okay.
agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers that time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for your home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Well, that Blake Sloan Real Estate Show, brand new market numbers, all kind of crazy stuff going on. Huge increase in terms of sales. Really quick, though, want to get something we talked about earlier. A big thank you, big shout out to B2B Grand Strand and Charleston Business Magazine. We had a great event last night at the CCU West End Zone, which is like the box up there. And they had this thing that just came out, which is super cool. It's Grand Strand's 50 most influential people in 2024. And it was amazing. I was blessed enough to be an honoree there. I have no clue how they reached out to me, but I got an email a couple weeks ago. They had a big award thing, and we had an amazing experience there. And the people were just amazing. But one thing that's super cool is I had a couple people that talked to me about, hey, I hear you on the radio show every weekend, which is pretty neat. And so I don't know if that really kind of gave part of that, but big shout out to all the listeners out there. Very appreciative of all the business that you all send us, and obviously do business and trusting us in our team with your largest assets. But it's super cool. Lots of great people on here. Brian Argo, President and CEO of Conway Medical Center. Bruce Bailey, President and CEO of Thailand Health. Michael Benson, who was the president of CCU. He just announced that he's going to WVU next year. Brenda Bethune, Barbara Joe Blaine, who's Mayor Conway. Just lots and lots and lots of great people on here. Big business minds, obviously big people in the community. So super grateful for that. Very, very thankful. Big shout out to our amazing team out there. Who always hustles with me and deals with my craziness. And so thanks so much out there, everybody that listens in this business. So back to really quick to brand new market update. So we track two main numbers. We track close numbers, which is what closed last month. The only problem with that is it's based on data that went under contract 36 days prior. And so it's a little bit dated, right? And you really, if you're in an interest rate driven marketplace like we are right now, one thing that is interesting to look at is like it moves up and down really quickly, right? So you want to make sure you're keeping a pulse of real time what's happening. I track this every day in a spreadsheet with my team. We go over every morning in the huddle. And those are what we call the front windshield numbers, is like what's happening real time when it goes under contract every day for the previous 7 days. Started doing this during COVID when I was trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And do I keep advertising? Do I not advertise? Are people still buying? Right? I couldn't wait 60, 90 days to make those type of decisions. And so what happened was it allowed us to get a real time pulse. And we're really able to advise our clients based on real-time data that we have. And so the front windshield numbers are what's under contract the last 7 days in our marketplace, which is basically the Grand Strand. And we have two numbers there: how many properties went under contract, and then what the volume of those properties are. Anytime it's at 200 million or above in a 7-day period, the market is smoking hot. That's typically summer type numbers, right? When everyone's in town. And so look at last 7 days as of today, 542 properties under contract in the 7-day period. Last week's show was 508, so it's up 7% week over week, but it's up 13% just in the last 2 weeks, which is amazing. But it's the highest amount of properties under contract for a 7-day period since August 23rd, 2024. And so all the way back to August, which is summer marketplace, that's the last time we had that much people buying and going under contract in a 7-day period. And again, there's big news we'll talk about where interest rates went down 47 basis points in the last month. And we had a 4-month low just this past week. We'll talk about that in a minute. But volume Huge increase. Lots of big properties selling too. $218,086,907. So $218 million in real estate went under contract the last 7 days just here in our MLS in the Grand Strand, which is huge. So 14% increase week over week. So what you're seeing is people sit back watching. Rates went down every few days. They hit the new low for the most recent 4 months, and everybody's jumping back in, which we're seeing like crazy overall. Big money coming in too. So one property at $3.5 million, 7 properties over $2 million under contract last 7 days. Check this out. 26 properties over $1 million. And for example, last week's show, only 15 properties. So from 15 to 26 just in a 7-day period. And that's properties over $1 million, just massive amounts of money coming in. 102 properties over 500,000. Last week's show, there's only 85. And inventory out there for sale, 1,470 homes for sale. Last week was 1,451. And so what that means is market's super hot right now. There's lots of people coming in. The spring market is earlier than normal. Obviously, it starts to feel in March and April. But what's happening is everyone's been sitting back watching for rates to go down really since before the election last year. There's a little bit of bump when rates went down. They went back up as inflation data came out. And we'll wait and see what happens with inflation data going forward. But it's something to think about and watch. If you're thinking about selling, you want to tee your house up earlier than later, because why is that? Well, obviously you're seeing summertime numbers right now in February and 1st of March, which is amazing because that's what you want to see, that summer market coming in early. And again, that's everyone jump back in. So huge numbers here. Like I said, 542 under contract for 218 million, which is absolutely huge. So that's great news out there. Looking at the overall rearview mirror numbers, been very, very interesting overall. We kind of reviewed those in last week's show, and I'm pulling those up now. But the big news that really I wanted to get to was just interest rates. So last week's show really was at 6.96, before that 7.05. Everyone started to get kind of used to a 7% interest rate, which is why you see so much movement when it went down into the sixes. But right now, today, 6.79%, which is amazing, right near a 4-month low for a 30-year fix, 6.79%, 15-year, 6.25%. 30-year jumbo loan, 7.09%, a 30-year FHA loan, 6.15%, and a 30-year VA loan, 6.17%. And so when rates were in the mid-sevens or low to mid-sevens, they were saying that for every 1% reduction in interest rates, there's 4 to 6 million more buyers who will be entering the marketplace nationwide. This is from a thing called Housing Wire. It's a big data company and news company in real estate. And so if you think about that, we hit 47 basis points, which is almost a half a point since January 13th. And so with that, you're seeing a lot more buyers come in. You're talking 2 to 3 million more buyers nationally who are jumping in right now. So if you're thinking about buying, right, you want to probably do so sooner than later. But also if you're thinking about selling, you want to tee your house up earlier, as there's a window when everyone who's been on the sidelines is jumping back in based on interest rates going down. And it's a great opportunity for you to maximize demand and hopefully get a much better offer before things do slow down a little bit once everyone kind of does jump in. So that's something we'll keep watching. Great news here. Really quick recap for closed sales. Look at last month closed sales for resale homes of 5.0%, which is awesome. I think you'll probably see that jump up next month as well. If you look at sales price for average sale price, it's pretty much been flat. It's at 0.1% increase from the same time last year. Median price up 2.1%, which is awesome. Months of supply right now, it's at 4.4 months of inventory, which is technically a seller's market. So a lot of markets in across the country have gotten to a buyer's market, meaning the buyer has the advantage. That's when you get over 6 months of inventory. Right now, we're still, pretty close. We're still pretty good in terms of seller's market, which is awesome. Looking at days on market right now, the average days on market for a property to sell for a resale home is 114 days. The reality is that's the 50% of properties that do sell. And so you want to keep that in mind, number one, when you pick an agent, but number two, when you're planning out your strategy. We've been able to beat that pretty well in most cases because we have great marketing and strategy and things like that. And the number one thing that stops houses from selling right now is showings per listing and how many showings it takes to get a contract. And I talk about this all the time. I cannot open the cabinets and make the buyer buy your house. What I can do is get a whole lot more buyers in your house and increase the chances that someone is going to buy it. And we do that through marketing. But right now, the average showing per listing for a single family house is 3.4 showings, down 22% from last year. So if someone lists their house for an average of 6 months, which is what most of them are, they get 3.4 showings the entire time, which is less than 1 showing per month. The problem is the average amount of showings it takes to get a contract is 13.2. We know that because the software, the MLS that you have to use to schedule a showing, tracks all that data. And so you're needing really 3 to 4 times the amount of showings to get a contract than most listings are getting. And so that's why you don't want to use a friend who sold 4 houses who doesn't have any money to market your property, because you have to find a way to differentiate. And so if you want to know more how it works, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break, right back in a second with this awesome info about how to get the most money for your investments.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing.
So it looks like one of your reps is going to be selling some property to a friend of mine. Remember I told you about that guy up in Rowan?
Yeah.
He's coming down March 12th.
Do you know who it was that talked to him?
Kevin Alley. It's Peggy Alley.
Okay, yeah.
A-L-L-I-E.
Yeah.
Plus, he wants to meet you because he owns his own.
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wants to see if there's, you need any help. He's
Okay. Yeah.
does all kind of stuff for houses, constructions.
Okay. I remember talking to him. I remember the day that you sent that over to us.
Coming out on the 12th, so you might want to come in here on that Friday. He wants to say hey to you.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah. He's got a son, right, or something?
Well, no, his father died.
Okay.
His father died, so it's only him and his mother left.
Okay.
And they don't want to stay up there anymore. And her brother lives in Little River.
Got it.
She wants to be closer to her brother. Look, if she lives another 3 or 4 years, I'll be shocked.
Got it. Okay.
So anyway, they're coming down here. And I'm the one I said, hey, you need to call.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll make sure I meet with him. That'd be cool with me. I'd love to.
I said, he's the man
I'll-
you need to talk to.
I'll try to send some business his way too. I appreciate that a lot.
Hey, if anybody wants to buy a house,
I appreciate
I
that.
sent them to a girl that I used to work for us years ago. I ain't sending her nothing ever again.
Good. Send them to me.
I
Send them to me.
am.
All right, good.
That's why I said,
We'll take care of them.
Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start hacking.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan, a real estate show. Hot buyers alert. My team working the ridiculous amount of home buyers looking at properties here, the Myrtle Beach Grand Street area, anywhere from $250,000 to $4.4 million. You're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately, 843-808-SOLD. It's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we've been doing every single week for I don't know how many years now, 5 or 6 years, is put our money where our mouth is. We just talk about what can really help you as a home seller. Is we have this thing called buyers in waiting, and due to our unique business model, we can outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. We spend 6 figures a month in marketing from all across the globe, obviously radio, TV, billboards, things like that. But we spend lots and lots of money online because that's where people go to search for houses, regardless of where they're at, right? And so what we've been doing is stack that up. We have a team that makes 16,000 calls a week. Their job is to sell them properties, whether it's our property or a property in MLS. Obviously, we prefer to share our properties because that's what we're in business to do, is match up our buyers and sellers. And so it gives you a competitive advantage where the single agent who's out there on their own, they put a sign in the yard and just hope someone comes along. With us right now, we have active 79,518 active home buyers. Again, 79,518 active home buyers from all across the globe. Like right now, I got Christy Allen from Owings Hills, Maryland. I got Lucille Moore from Rosedale, Maryland. I got Raymond Mitchell from Long Beach, New York. I got Jim from Washington, D.C. I got Kaylee Gaskey from Conway, South Carolina. I got Ellicott City, Maryland, Brookhaven, PA. And these are actually searching my site this very second. I got Ernest Cooper from High Point, North Carolina. Joanne from Miami, Florida. So all across the globe that we see, I got Georgia, Tennessee, Summers, New York. So if you're thinking about selling, you want to go with someone who has what we call buyers in waiting. We have a software that goes in, reverse engineers the most likely buyer for your property based on the previous search patterns, and it allows us to sell properties faster because we're able to increase demand and match them up with what they're looking for. And it's super cool because when we share that with them, it's exactly what they want because the software and the algorithm tracks what their previous search history is. So if you're thinking about selling, call the one who's got the buyers, call the one who spends, outspends the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint, which is super awesome. So really quick, success stories, super proud of those. Big shout out to Steve and Kathy. They're longtime listeners of this show. And this is how it should work. where they obviously recently decided it's time to sell and go to a different neighborhood that would fit their lifestyle better. Steve's been listening to the show here for years and knew exactly who to call to help first to sell their current home and purchase a new home. We met with Steve and Kathy, shared how we had hundreds and hundreds of buyers looking for properties just like theirs. We came in, I designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, a virtual reality walkthrough, drove massive traffic within a couple of weeks, had a fantastic offer on their home. We also helped them buy their new property, their perfect new home in the new neighborhood, and we navigate that delicate dance of buying and selling at the same time, right? It's always a delicate dance. You buy first, sell first, and we're very, very good at doing that dance to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of money for yours, and you can also close on the new one at the same time. And so now they get new lifestyle, put maximum equity in their pocket, and it was seamless. Also, big shout out to Gary and his family. They owned a very, very nice beach house in North Myrtle Beach for decades. Recently, they decided it was time to sell because they weren't using as much as they used to. They want to make sure that they got every single bit of equity out of it because they're going to split up between different family members. Gary interviewed multiple agents before meeting with us. After meeting with us, he knew there was one choice, and that was us. He said, quote, they're light years ahead. Met with Gary, shared how we had hundreds of buyers matching for properties just like the one they had, specifically investors who wanted rental property. Came in, designed custom plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, drove massive traffic, had an offer on their home within a couple weeks, and they put maximum equity in their pocket as well. So big shout out to Gary and his family. If you're thinking about doing that, reach out to us first. Don't become the horror story and then come back to us. That's something that many people don't get the second chance because you sell for low equity. You miss out on that. Here's something I want to get to, though, right? Head on, I think, 4 minutes left? 2 minutes. Okay. Get this question all the time. Should I update my house before I sell it? And this is a big article that we watch this all the time. Home updates that pay off when you sell. The biggest problem is people don't realize that you don't get dollar for dollar. So if you had a $10,000 improvement, doesn't mean you get $10,000 in equity unless it's very specific. And so like these are the home renovation projects with the highest ROI. And it talks about job costs versus ROI, return on investment for the 2024 national average. The number one investment that got the highest ROI is probably not what you think. It's garage door replacement. It looks better. Obviously, and there's some new options now where you can put a cover on the outside, but buyers can see through that in many cases. Steel door replacement is 188% return. I've mentioned the garage doors, 194% return. So basically, you're getting $2 for every $1 you invest in terms of equity. So that's something there. Installing manufactured stone veneer. That's been a new one. A lot of people have been doing. It's 153% return on the money. Once you get there, though, it starts to be diminishing. Where, for example, grand entrance, like upscale entrance redo, it gets a 97% return, which just means if I put $100 in, I get 97 back. You're not getting anything that's a 1-to-1 ratio. So you got to be careful of that. Minor kitchen remodel, 96%. Siding replacement, 88%. A deck addition, wood is 83%. Sliding replacement doors from wood to vinyl, 80% return. Bathroom remodel, mid-range, 74%. And a deck addition that's composite, you only get a 68% return. And so we see it all the time where homeowners will do all these crazy stuff. We just have one in common. The guy put like $60,000 in his outdoor deck and patio area on like a $250,000 house, and just there's no way to get that return back, but he was wanting to get that. And so you always want to reach out to an expert and say, hey, if I do this, how much will I get back for that? We're more than happy to help guide you through that. Always reach out and call us, 843-808-SOLD. And this is one thing that Bankrate even said, things like hiring a great real estate agent and maximizing your home's online appeal can translate to a smoother sale and more money in the bank. And that's from Bankrate.com. And so, again, I see this all the time. People spend so much money, they don't get dollar for dollar. Reach out to us. We're more happy to share and give you all the information you need on what the best return will be for your specific house. Just call me, 843-808-SOLD. Again, or BlakeSloan.com. Also, any friends, relatives, aunts, uncle that may be looking to buy or sell, please do me a huge favor. So you got to call my buddy Blake, 843-808-SOLD. We'll see you back here at the same time next week.